Tom Holland's Dominion is not the apologetic masterpiece many people think that it is. Stick around to find out why. Hi, this is peak argument, where a regular old guy argues about stuff. So firstly, I'd like to start by saying Dominion by Tom Holland is a fantastic book, really well written, really interesting, and it highlights some really cool stories and different episodes in the history of Europe and the history of Christianity as well. So I highly recommend everyone get it and read it. I don't think it's the apologetic masterpiece that people claim it to be. So for those that obviously haven't read it, the idea of the book is that our Western values, so European Western values, things like equal human rights, the first shall be last and the last shall be first, basically everything that we think of as a Western value is born of Christianity. And in the book, he sort of traces that along through the centuries and has an account of all the different developments that lead to sort of institutions or the way that we think about our values and society today. The way he puts it, he says, we Westerners are goldfish and the water that we swim in is Christian. Another way I've heard it put is the air that we breathe is Christian air. So whether you know it or not, whether you're a devout, say, God-fearing Christian, or whether you're an atheist or whatever, your, I guess, assumed values are Christian. Now, broadly speaking, I agree with this. I think it's probably about right as a historical account. What I would object to is the way in which apologists use this information. Apologists use these types of works as evidence that Western and Christian values are one and the same, and that if you remove the Christianity, you will remove the values as well. And they point to things like, say, the communist regimes of the 20th century or fascism as evidence of this. They say once you remove that sort of base Christian value, what you're left with is just like a rampant, like, social evolution or something like that doesn't care for the individual or doesn't put the same value on humanity that Christianity does. I'd just like to point out that according to Tom Holland, movements like communism, Me Too, Black Lives Matter, wokeism, these are all Christian movements. He says that they're an evolution of Christian ideas. The reason that they show up in the West rather than anywhere else, they do migrate to other places, but the reason why these ideas show up in Western countries is because they are based on Christian values. So I think it's amusing that an apologist would, be going, yeah, look at, Tom Holland is showing that the things that we hold dear are Christian in nature, and when you remove Christianity, you also remove those values as well. But then in the same time, they'll condemn things like communism and stuff as like this atheistic kind of regime, when according to the work that they're citing, communism is a Christian idea and a Christian ideology. Now, the thoughts that I have about all this is, like I said, I really enjoyed the book. I think the idea is broadly correct, but I've always sort of seen it as a book of history. It's a historical work in the sense that it's trying to trace it's trying to trace the evolution of certain ideas. I wouldn't say it's a theological book, and I certainly wouldn't say that it is a book that can be used in a theological manner. I mean, you can use it however you want, but that's just my opinion. What I think the book is conveying is so firstly, I don't know if Tom Holland means it like this, or if the way apologists are using it is they're saying that Christianity is the only vehicle for these values to become a part of society. Tom Holland even says that if you think of each individual value as like a river that flows into a great lake, the great lake is Christianity. So none of these ideas are from Christianity. It's just that the Christian story sort of packages it in a way that brings them all together. But I guess my interpretation of it is a historical one. So as far as I can tell, when a new society has an idea or any sort of progress that a society makes, it's kind of couched in in this conservatism. So the ideas that are present at the time, the progress is made by an evolution of those ideas. So for example, towards the end of the Roman Republic, the Republic was failing, and there was this string of reformers that wanted to change the laws, wanted to, you could say, modernize the way things are run. And they did that by appealing to the ancient Republic. They weren't changing things. They weren't having a revolution. They were bringing back the golden generation, you could say. Augustus Caesar, who was the guy that, reformed the Republic to the empire, he wasn't making an empire. He was restoring the Republic and restoring Republican values. And I think in a similar way, when new ideas came into Western Europe from wherever, they were integrated into society through a Christian framework. So cultural zeitgeist or whatever, there was like pressure for something, say pressure to end slavery. And that was interpreted through a Christian lens. So from my point of view anyway, it seems, and apologists today do this, it seems like they bend over backwards to interpret an anti-slavery message in the Bible. A new idea came in and that it was interpreted through a Christian lens. And bit by bit, all these new ideas were incorporated into a Christian tradition, which is what we have today. And we do know that new ideas did come in. So an example would be Arabic numerals. They're obviously not from the West. They're from the Muslim world. But they were integrated into Western society. I'd love to see an example of a completely new idea appearing in a society. One that has no antecedent. It doesn't come from anywhere else. It's just a completely new idea. And yeah, I just find it interesting that these apologists would say that the current interpretation of the Bible is the true and correct one, or the current interpretation of the Christian values is the true and correct one. But in, say, 50, 100 years, maybe there's a new one that comes along. So maybe all this sort of wokeism and this kind of stuff will be integrated into society in such a way that that becomes the new value that Christianity had all along. But yeah, that's kind of it. Hopefully that wasn't too rambling. Fingers crossed the point I was trying to make got across. Hopefully anyone that did watch it this far, hopefully you've kind of feeling, or the gist of what I was trying to say got across. If not, let me know, or if there's anything you'd like to add or any points that I missed, let me know in the comments. Maybe when I get a bit better at expressing the thoughts that I have about this, I'll make an updated video. But thanks for watching. Have a good day.